OSC controllers are a great way to create custom control interfaces for Resolume. Using an iPad and an OSC controller application called TouchOSC, we'll show you the process of setting up OSC to communicate between Resolume and a custom controller. Go into Resolume Preferences and click on the OSC tab. The default OSC input and output ports are set to 7000 and 7001. These are the ports we'll use in TouchOSC. Under the OSC output, make sure that the outgoing address uses the same IP address of your TouchOSC device. Click on the drop-down menu and select IP address. In the TouchOSC settings, tap on the first menu item under Connections to access IP and port details. Host is the IP of the computer that Resolume is running on. You can see the IP of your Resolume computer on top of the OSC preferences here, where it says My IP Address. The outgoing port should be set to the incoming port of Resolume, in this case 7000. The incoming port of our TouchOSC controller is the outgoing port of Resolume, 7001. A simple way to connect OSC controllers is by selecting your OSC-enabled application via the drop-down menu. This works if any OSC-enabled applications are found on the network. Most applications will let you know if they're ready to send and receive OSC. With all of our IP and port information set, we can now link our TouchOSC interface with Resolume. Here's a super simple 3-layer interface we've created in TouchOSC. Each layer has an eject button, opacity fader, and 4 clip slots. This interface was created with the TouchOSC editor application available on Mac and PC. We've named each interface element accordingly, as you can see. To link our TouchOSC interface to Resolume, we need to specify the OSC input address for each of the buttons and sliders. Let's do this for our opacity slider on layer 1. In Resolume, click on the Shortcuts menu and edit OSC. The parts of the Resolume interface we can assign to our OSC controller will be highlighted red. Let's click on the first button we'd like to map to TouchOSC, the layer 1 opacity slider. Located at the bottom right of Resolume is our OSC information. The OSC input is what we'll need for TouchOSC to communicate with Resolume. The top address of the OSC input is what we'll select. This address will keep our OSC interface linked to the layer 1 opacity slider, no matter what layer is selected. Right-click and copy. Let's go back to the TouchOSC editor. Under the OSC tab, uncheck Auto, and paste the OSC input address from Resolume here by pressing Command-V on Mac or Control-V on PC. Now let's test the link between our TouchOSC controller and Resolume. We'll save our TouchOSC layout and sync it to our device. Let's go back to Resolume and exit shortcut mode by pressing Escape. Now we're able to control the layer 1 opacity slider with our TouchOSC controller interface. We've previously set up our TouchOSC controller, and as you can see, we're remotely controlling the Resolume interface using OSC. You might be wondering what the other OSC input address is used for. Let's go back to Resolume and edit OSC shortcuts. When we click on the layer 1 opacity slider, the second OSC input address relates to the selected layer mode. Copy the bottom OSC input address. Notice the selected layer text as part of this address. Select this text, right-click and copy. We'll switch to the TouchOSC editor and click on the layer 1 fader of our interface. Paste the OSC input address. We'll save our TouchOSC layout and sync it to our device. In Resolume, let's exit shortcut mode and select layer 3. Notice that the slider in our TouchOSC interface now controls layer 3's opacity. This is because we're using the OSC address for selected layer mode. This mode can be useful for creating custom or compact OSC interfaces, especially for use with mobile phones. Unlike MIDI and keyboard shortcuts, which use a learned technique, you need to use the specific OSC input addresses from Resolume in your OSC application for everything to work properly. The benefits of controlling Resolume this way are that you don't have to assign shortcuts every time you use a different computer. And since this works on any computer running Resolume, you can easily share your TouchOSC layouts with others. Just make sure your connections are set up correctly. OSC controllers allow you to create any interface suited to your needs. By using the process we've outlined, you can customize your Resolume experience to match your style or the requirements of any situation.